Hey everyone, it's Jeff Risdon from Lions Wire and the Detroit Lions podcast, and I just got home from Lions rookie minicamp, and I thought I'd share what I saw today over in Allen Park. So, without further ado, let's go. First off, it was great to be back in Allen Park watching actual football. Well, mostly football. They weren't in pads. It's rookies on their very first day on the job. Some of them are tryout players. A lot of them are, undrafted rookies trying to make an impression. It's the first day, and that needs to be necessary context for everything that gets said here. It's one day. It's their first day on the job. We've all been employed on our first day on the job. It goes differently for any number of reasons, and that's just what it is. It's just a first impression. It's not something that's meant to be a lasting impression. It's just an observation. And we'll start with the draft picks. Tyreek Williams. Wow. So before practice, Ray Agnew talked to us in the media room, and he talked about how striking Williams' power was. And that was like right off the bat. First couple of reps in the early part of team drill. Remember, they're not in pads. They're just hitting one another. Like, he's blowing dudes backwards. Even guys trying to run block him. He's like physically relocating them into the backfield. That was impressive. So Tyreek then, just as they started the stretching session, he walked off with the trainers and he worked out on the side. He didn't participate for the rest of practice. So a couple of us, myself, Dave Burkett, and Tim Twentyman, went over to the other field, which is by where the hill is, disaffectionately known as Mount Patricia. And he worked there with trainers, and we watched him carefully. That was where the defensive players were working out on that field. And then he's over there and he's bunny hopping. He's doing like leg kicks. He looks like a rocket for a little bit. Like, they're clearly working on his legs. He sprinted up Mount Patricia twice. Like, you could not tell anything was wrong with him. So, like, it's almost certainly just precautionary. Remember, he tweaked his hamstring a little bit in his pro day at Ohio State. He fell down while he was running one of the drills, I believe it was. It's nothing to worry about. The Lions are trying to be more proactive and more preventative on these sorts of things. There's no reason for him to be out there. Like, he made his point. He was the best player on the field from the very first snap. When you have a first-round pick, you want them to really stand out when they're going against, especially in a rookie minicamp. He did that. Mission accomplished. Let's talk about the offensive linemen here. And I'll go, because Tesla is lumped in, like, he's the third pick, but the second and fourth picks were offensive linemen. We're going to lump them together. And that's Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier. Tate Ratledge played right guard exclusively at Georgia. Today, he almost exclusively played center. I will say it's interesting to see it happen because he's really tall and plays. I'm going to say, put this up on a tee for Chris. He plays very erect. He's very tall in his stance as a guard. As a center, that seems to be even more problematic, and it's something that they're going to have to work with. But I will say, his burst out of his stance after snapping the ball was controlled and ready to go in any direction, and that's impressive. That's something that you want to see from your centers. That's not something that we've seen other guys do when they've been put in that role, especially taller. It's tough for taller guys to do that. I like the opportunity for him to do that. After practice, I wasn't with him much in his press conference because there was another couple that were going on and I was talking to them. But he seemed very open to it. And then Miles Frazier, who was the right guard at LSU for the last couple of seasons, he played right tackle most of the day. And other than one early rep where he got torched by the tryout player from Houston, who I'll get to later. What was his name? I should know it already. Keith Cooper. We're going to talk more about Keith Cooper because of all the tryout players, spoiler alert, he was the best one, in my opinion anyways. So that was this is the cross training. I did talk with Frazier after practice. Was involved in his press conference as well, and he's like he was their backup tackle. He trained as the number 3 tackle at LSU. He's comfortable with it. He knows that's might be his best way to get on the field as a rookie. So he's very engaging young man. Looked everybody who asked him questions in the eye, gave honest answers. They weren't canned. I really appreciated that. That was true of just about all of the guys. We didn't get to talk to Tyreek, but all the other guys, like, they were good in the interviews. And that's something that, it stands out. It doesn't mean anything in the grand context of things other than it's easier for us to believe them and get more comfortable with them and ask them maybe better questions because we know that they're going to be more receptive and give us thoughtful, eloquent answers. That's good. I've covered players in Detroit and elsewhere that don't do that. And it's very difficult to ask them questions that I think fans would appreciate more than just the general, how do you think you did today? Some guys just won't bite on that. And to a man, this class seemed very well prepared for that and very natural at that. And I like that. So again, they're not in pads. It's tough to tell on the blocking. I will say for Frazier, he had a situation where he did have to down block once, and he got to where he needed to get to and got both hands on the guy. And he is a guy, and it showed on his LSU tape, and it happened again today. And again, there was limited opportunities for it. If he gets both hands on you, you're done. Like, just pray he doesn't bury you into the ground, because that's what he's trying to do. Very, very, very impressive upper body strength and core strength through his shoulders and chest and torque. With the hips and everything, look good. Let's get to Slaw. I mean, if you all have watched the videos or read any of the stuff I've done, I'm a fanboy to start with. I covered him in high school. He's from just up that way a little ways. His high school plays in the same conference as the one that my kid's high school is in. He's fun, man. He played primarily outside, although they did use him in the slot today. And Ray Agnew before practice talked about how they see him as being an outside receiver, and he's got to work on his press release. And I thought one of the things that they did very well today, there was one really seasoned vet who was doing a tryout. That's Duke Shelley. He played at Kansas State. He's bounced around the NFL. I believe he was in the 2019 NFL draft, and he's kind of been on the fringes of rosters. I think he played for Buffalo, and I believe he was with the Raiders for a bit. But he's a physical guy, and he jammed Slaw, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes Slaw got free. He made a couple of great catches away from his body, and that's one of the things that immediately stood out. If you watched him at Arkansas, and if you were lucky enough to watch him at Hillsdale, and I didn't watch him while he was at Hillsdale. I have since gone back and rewatched it, but like he is so natural at going and getting the ball away from his body, not waiting for the ball to get to him. He goes out and gets it away from his body, 2 hands, locked down right away. Total hands catcher. And that's, you got to appreciate that. And in fact, I'm going to crack open a beverage here, and drink to that, because that was fun. He's got some work to do. For sure. In terms of getting off the line with I'll use an equestrian term here. He's got to change his leads better. By the way, if you understand that reference comes from the equestrian world, good for you. My wife was briefly an equestrian when we first met, and I had to go to a couple of her, I forget what the hell they call them. But like, she always struggled with changing her leads, and that's something that Slaw's going to have to do as a receiver. Work on changing his leads from the outside and from wherever he's aligned. But again, first impression, pretty good one. He's just great in the press conference too. Talked about he almost passed out when he saw the 313 on the phone call during the draft. Had to tell everybody to shut up so he could hear it. Like, it's it's cool to see a guy like that live out his dream, and a guy that I've covered him since he was in high school at Hudsonville Unity Christian. It's really neat to see somebody local like that, and make it. And he's got a long way to go, but it's pretty clear that the Lions are very high on him. And there were a couple of routes today where, okay, yep, I see it too. So yeah, he's going to be an easy one to like. I know there are a lot of fans that are down on him because of his draft status, so all that it took to get him. And that's actually I had a great conversation with another beat writer today, and we walked and talked about that. And he made a great point, and I can't refute it. Like, that's, those third round picks that they gave away to get him, that's your in-season trade deadline fodder to go get this year's Zadarius Smith. By the way, Zadarius hasn't signed anywhere yet. Don't expect him to sign anywhere for a while. Don't worry that there's rumors out there that he's signing elsewhere. I wouldn't sweat that. And if he does sign, I wouldn't sweat it either. And to get away from the rookie for a quick second, one of the things that I picked up today, the Lions like their edge room more than you do and more than I do. They're comfortable going to battle with what they've got. This is akin to, was it 2021 or 2022, the draft, where it was made very clear to me, like, we like our linebackers. And then they didn't take any until they took Rodrigo in the 6th round. They're there. That's the same sentiment I'm getting now with the edges, like between Hutch, Davenport, Pascal, Levi probably belongs more with that group than he does with the interior group at this point. Like Hassanin, who I'm going to get to in a second, like if that's their 5, they're good. Like they're ready to roll with that. They don't have a problem rolling with that. You might not want to hear that, but they don't care. And that confidence that they have is either going to be rewarded or it's going to make them look bad. I'll just say I understand why they have that confidence in the players that they do. But I'm someone that doesn't mind buying insurance for the most part. Car insurance is a different story, but like for my house, when I moved to Houston, first thing I did, I called my agent. I'm like, can I get flood insurance for my house? He's like, well, you don't live in a floodplain. Like, I don't give a crap. It rains a lot here. Like that's my mindset with things. So I would love to see them bring Zadarius back. And that's certainly still a possibility, but if they don't, I'm not going to sweat it either. Hassanin is, he's fun, man. He is loud, effervescent, full of energy, full of relentless, nervous, positive energy. He had a rep today when the offense stayed on this field, and I went over with this field with the defense, and almost everybody else stayed with the offense, which is a little weird because for a while it was just me and Tim 20-man watching the defense. We're the only people over there. And he had a rep where they're down in a 4-point stance and firing out and trying to fire up into a pad. And Casey Rogers, the defensive line coach, is holding the pad. And he saw that Hassanin was like cheating a little bit and creeping up. So he like yanked the pad back just a little bit. And Hassanin, he caught himself, but he almost face planted. And instead of like getting back into the back of the line, he like slapped the dirt and was like, let's go again. And Rogers was like, okay. Put it down and held it, and Hassanin had a fantastic rep. Like the pop from his hands, like it's different than everybody else that's there. It's just it's I equate it to volleyball. Like when Karch Karai hit a ball, it sounded different than when most people do, or like when Kerry Walsh would unload and hit one, or Sean Rosenthal would hit the Rosie down the line. Like there was just something different about it. You get that from him. He has wild puppy dog energy, and he's very much a football puppy, because I'll tell you what, and this was true with Frazier, it was true with just about everybody, other than one specific player who I don't want to diss, but he was a tryout player, and I'd be stunned if he's not on the street soon. That's just the way it goes. If you get two hands on Hassan, he's done. He doesn't have the counter moves yet. And that was one of the things, he got locked up by, okay, I gotta look at it. Who was that? Where's he at? Where'd he go? Mason Miller from North Dakota State, their right tackle. He played guard most of the day. He looped in, Hassan looped in and ran into Miller. And Miller had good hand placement, got his hands down, had good weight balance distribution. And Hassan just like tried to like do this instead of like this or like, and he got coached right after that. He's like, and the coach was like, either go over or under, like one, like you gotta pick a path. And he took that to heart, and you could see him like between the reps. He's like working with it. Like it's fun to watch a guy with that sort of potential and who understands that he's got a long way to go. And, Ray Agnew before practice called him a second effort pass rusher. Here's how you interpret that. He's not a guy who's going to create a lot of pressures, but he's going to clean up a lot. And that's kind of what you want opposite Aiden Hutchinson. That's what you want. That's the goal. A guy who's going to hold his spot and not get beat on the outside, not give up containment to a running quarterback, and then be able to finish off of what Hutchinson starts, or what guys what Tyreek and Aleem in the middle start, or what blitzing A-gap linebackers start. That's what he's going to do. So he's going to be one of those guys. Look, we were joking about it in the media throng today. Like, he's going to go get like 4 sacks in the preseason, and then you're not going to see him until October, and then he's going to reemerge and like get more and more. Sort of the way James Houston did as a rookie. We can definitely see that path for Hassan, but he's got a ways to go with. Fun guy. Glad he's on my team for sure. I did not get to watch much of Dominic Lovett today. They did reps again with the offense when they were doing like the quarterback and receiver things. I was on the other field. I was watching the defensive backs and the linebackers specifically. The linemen were there too. They were just sort of doing their thing. But like the actual movement guys were the defensive backs. And I want to talk about the safeties because there's 2 of them. There are 2 rookies, Dan Jackson and Ian Kennelly. And Jackson is a 7th round pick, and Kennelly is an undrafted rookie from Grand Valley, which is not far. It's where Isaac Tesla is from, basically. He lives like 10 minutes from campus. I live about 20. If you didn't know that Jackson was drafted and Kennelly was the undrafted free agent, if you just like watched them today, you'd be like, Kennelly's the dude that they drafted, right? Like, he is so much bigger, faster, quicker, rangier. But that's his style of play. Jackson is a downhill, like, I'm going to attack you type of safety. He's going to be a guy who, like, if they throw the ball to the tight end at 4 yards, the play is over at 4 yards. Like that's what he's really good at. Attacking the run, blowing up screens, taking out lead blockers, and then trying to get off them, but making it so guys around him can clean things up. He's not a high safety. He's not a rangy safety. That's not what he does. It is what Kennelly does. In the setting that they were in today, that shows a lot better for 27 than it does for 28. Now, having said all that, I'll be shocked if Kennelly isn't on this team ahead of the UDFAs from last year. I watched him at Grand Valley. I've been to a few of their games. I've watched his tape. I've seen his workouts. He's already better as a prospect than Lawrence Strickland, than Maurice Norris. That's my opinion on it. I'll be very surprised if he's not on this team, whether it's as the 53rd man, playing special teams and, being like a reserve game day inactive safety, or certainly on the practice squad. But I would be very surprised if he doesn't stick. And he is one of the 10 UDFAs that they signed. I have the list right here. Take a quick perusal. Talk amongst yourselves. Some of the guys that stood out. Like, I'm not going to talk about the Ohio Bobcat who's there. Fellow Ohio Bobcat Anthony Tyus, the third running back from Ohio, formerly Northwestern, Portage Northern High School, down in Kalamazoo, which is that way. Great kid. Got to talk to him after practice for a while. Represented my university very well, which makes me very proud. He is a big dude. He's every bit of 6'1" and 225. He runs decisively. You want big guys who don't dance. He doesn't dance. He goes. If you're familiar with Craig Reynolds' running style, Tyus is the same kind of runner. It's David Montgomery-ish, but he's not as dynamic. He's not quite as explosive off the line. And he doesn't have like the long speed. Like he timed, I believe it was 4.59. That's legit. But he's a guy that, look, the number 5 running back spot, which is a practice squad spot, is wide open for this team. And everything that I saw today, he was better than the other guys that were there. Let's see who else was there. Kai Robichaux from Boston College. Actually, Robichaux had a couple of nice reps today, from what I saw. And then there was the tryout player, Dwayne Martin. He's fullback. I looked at too. Tryout players were tough. But Tyus, he's someone that I'm going to be rooting for. And if you're in the Kalamazoo area and rooting for this, or if you're a fellow Ohio Bobcat, embrace him. He's number 42. Going to be an easy guy to like. Let's see. What else do we have? Tryout guys. So there were a couple of veterans who tried out. I mentioned Duke Shelley earlier. He is a cornerback from Kansas State. It says here 6 years of NFL experience, and I thought he was, I remember him at the Senior Bowl or Shrine Game, like one of those. They all blur together when you go every year for 15 years, 20 years, and almost it's they blur. But he's a guy that's got some NFL. I believe he's played over 50 NFL games. So this is a guy who's it almost feels like he was there, like, hey, can you come in just for a day and press to slaw and we'll pay you a lot of money for your tryout sort of thing. I don't know if they're allowed to do that, but that's kind of what it felt like. Because the Lions definitely don't need cornerbacks. That was interesting. Michigan State fans, you might remember Raekwon Williams, nose tackle from the 2020 draft. Played for the Bears for a bit. I believe he was with Seattle as well. He was there. He looked good. So when Tyreek went and started running on Mount Patricia and doing all the things off on the side with the trainers, he was the new first team defensive tackle, and he looked the part. You would kind of expect that for a guy who's he played for the Eagles in 2020 and 2021. He's bounced around a little bit since then. He looked capable, and this was a guy that I had a draftable grade on back in the day. And it hasn't worked. He looked slimmer than what I remembered of him from being at Michigan State's pro day back in the day. I believe he was actually a combine snub. I seem to recall that. I don't know. Again, it's hazy, and I will give a quick shout out here. Unsponsored, Coppercraft Distilleries, who do actually sponsor the huge show from which I make frequent appearances. This is really good. This is the what is it? Honolulu Blue. Good stuff. Won't knock you on your butt. Coppercraft always been a very good supporter of me throughout my radio spots over the years. When Jim Costa, who's now at 97, won the ticket, when he and I used to do our Sunday morning shows here in West Michigan, we did that for 4 years. They were a title sponsor. They were great to us, and so I reward them for this. So go out and get yourself some. It's good stuff. I don't do ad reads. I'm grateful that when I'm on the huge show, he doesn't make me do all the reads that he does, because Can I let you in a little secret about that? Look, I know people have wild opinions about Huge. That's fine. I get it. He gets it too. Those reads that he doesn't use note cards, folks. Like that's like he just goes. It's crazy to me. That is an incredible skill to me. Because I've had to do reads. I'm like, yeah, it's tough. So props to you, Bill. You never cease to fail to impress me on that. Other tryout guys, I brought up the guy from Houston earlier. Keith Cooper, big dude, 6'5", 280, and looks every bit of it. He's a handful off the edge. He's not quick off the edge, but once he gets going, he's going. He is a crush the can type of guy. It's a name to know going forward. He was one of the guys that had been reported as signed as a UDFA. He was not. He was there on a tryout. It wouldn't shock me at all if he winds up signing. Now, right now, they don't have any spots on the roster to sign him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, with those guys. There were 4 guys who were here last year who were there today. Last year's undrafted rookies were Duran Gilbert, Isaac Uku, and Kingsley Eguakun. And then Eric Hallett, who was a UDFA the year before, and then came to Detroit last year, but also gets listed as 1 year of experience. They were all there today. Hallett looked solid. He looks like he can compete for a safety spot this year. He was on the practice squad last year. Eguakun, I always thought he was a center, and center only when he came out of Florida. And today he primarily played left guard next to Tate Ratledge, and I will reiterate that it feels like he's a center only. Backhanded compliment there. I don't mean that in an insultory way either. Center is a position where your immediate quickness can trump a lack of base strength. And that's his biggest issue. Like, he doesn't have a lot of sand in the pants, and something that didn't look today like it had gotten any better from last year. So I'm still hopeful for him to develop into a guy who can compete to be that 4th guard backup center type. But first impression this year, again, it's just first impression. 2nd and 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 20th impressions might all be very different. But the first impression was that he's probably not improved enough to threaten for a roster spot. We'll see. Duran Gilbert, the linebacker from Northern Illinois from last year. He's small. He is safety sized. He is the exact same size as Ifeatu Melifonwu, who played safety. That tells you what his skill set is. He's really fast going side to side. He's got quick reactions. He can go in any direction very quickly. He cannot catch, like, at all. And it was frustrating. It's like there was one where, like, whoever was throwing the ball, and I don't remember who it was, threw it to him like, here. he like had it up here, and it came down here, and he bobbled it and then secured it like this. That was the only one that I saw him catch all day. Oh, if you're a coverage-oriented linebacker, you should probably be able to catch. But no, he's back. It was good to see him. He's a guy that I liked last summer. I thought he showed some things last summer. Uku's power to speed, a little bit undersized on the outside, and just comparing him with Keith Cooper, and also with another veteran who's got some NFL experience out there. Where'd he go? I'm looking right at his name. Travis Gibson, former Bears 5th round draft pick, out of Tulsa. Gibson is also that style, and he did it better, and I think Cooper did it better than Uku, Uku came out of Ole Miss as a guy who was sort of an athletic project, and he still appears to be that way. But again, it's just first impression. He could wow for the rest of the camp, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. So that's your returning guys. I brought up Gibson, a guy who made a good impression. He's always been a tweener, and he's listed at 6'4" and 257, 263. It's an odd size because he's got the upper body framework of a tackle, but his lower body says edge. defensive end. And I never felt like Chicago really figured out, like, this guy, he started like 20 games. He had 7 sacks in his second NFL season, playing full time for a really bad Chicago team. It was the 2021 Bears. As bad as we were back then, they were circling in the same bowl. We have since exploded out of there. They have not done that yet. Not yet. Hopefully not soon. Nothing against Ben Johnson, but we're better. Yeah. So Gibson is an interesting one as a veteran tryout. Malik Taylor, former Ferris State wide receiver, was there. Big guy. Didn't really show a lot from what I saw today. But again, I spent most of the time where the receivers were working with the quarterback, who was Cole Snyder out of Eastern Michigan, formerly, I believe it was at Buffalo. Snyder was better this year than Cade Peterson from Grand Valley was last year as the sacrificial lamb tryout quarterback for training camp or for rookie minicamp. But I'd be surprised if he's, I'm not going to diss him on like that. He can play in the UFL. He can. And I'd be interested to see if they keep him around as a practice squad guy, but I don't know. He's athletic. He can run. That was one of the things that was very evident. He can definitely run. He also has a freakishly loud cadence voice, relative to his size and what you see of him, like when he's not barking out the cadences. Stood out. Who else stood out? Corey Flagg, linebacker, is wearing number 52 today from Missouri. He's short. He's 5'10", about 200. He's listed at 233. That seems generous. But dude can fly. And they were doing a special teams drill very early on, and he was winning every one of those. And that's what you got to do. You got to find one thing that you can say, hey, I did this. I can keep doing that. And that's how these tryout guys can latch on. So I thought he did that pretty well. Who else was out there? Yeah. Corey Suttle, defensive lineman from that red school in Ohio. I'm an Ohio Bobcat. We don't say the M word here in my house. My wife also being an Ohio alum. We don't say that word, but he went there. Played all right today. He's a attack style thing. Oh, one thing I want to bring up, the tight ends. There's 3 of them here. They signed 2. They signed Caden Prescorn and Zach Horton. Prescorn from Ole Miss, Horton from Indiana. And the guy who was there on the tryout is from Auburn, Luke Deal. And Luke Deal was the best of the 3 today. Doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, because I've seen both Horton and Prescorn play. And they're both, like, I don't have any issue at all with the Lions signing them as undrafted rookies, with a chance to make the team as the 4th tight end, maybe even the 3rd tight end. But today, Deal was better in terms of his footwork and fundamentals and blocking. He can chip and release. He was certainly chipping and releasing better than Horton was. And Prescorn, like, look, this is a guy, he's from somewhere in Michigan, Lake Orion, Michigan. Went to Memphis as a quarterback, and converted to tight end as he switched schools to Ole Miss. I believe he even have like a kid that's in school. Like, he's older. He's 25 years old. I'm rooting for him, because I liked his tape at Ole Miss. He had a couple of really nice games where I just happened to be watching and not really like scouting. Like, my process for college football, I don't watch college football for enjoyment other than my Ohio Bobcats. I watch, like, it's work for me. Like, I'm watching guys, like, who stands out to me, who does this, like, from an NFL level. I'm watching it through, like, NFL scouting evaluation eyes. That's how I do college football. But there are occasions where I, like, let that go. And I would just be like, okay, let's just enjoy this game. And he had a really nice game in one of those games that I did last year. So now you find your niche with these guys like that. So, That's about it. One other guy that did make my notes a little bit, Jackson Meeks, wide receiver from Syracuse, big guy, made the catch of the day. Snyder hung up a ball. He got open. So Meeks is not known for his separation. He actually got really good separation. He blew past, who was it? 26. Duke Shelley. Enough that they said barbecue chicken. I heard that from the coaching staff. But the ball hung up a little bit and he had to wait for it. And he reached, so Shelley's 5'7", 5'8", and Meeks is 6'2" and every bit of it. And he jumped up and reached over him and in front of him and caught it and pulled it back. And Shelley was like this. And then Meeks knows he's going to fall down. So he extends the ball, has it in both hands and falls to the ground, gaining as many yards as he could. It was a really, really nice catch. And that look, he's a guy, they did sign him. He is Za'Darius Smith's nephew. May or may not be important. Talked about Za'Darius a little bit earlier. That's about it. Oh, the other last thing, they did not have any specialists. No punter, no kicker, no long snapper. I would read that as all three guys are safe. And it'll be the first time in a while where we've had all three positions resolved. Jake Bates coming back after a great first season. Jack Fox, stud. And Hogan Hatton, who started his quest to make this team as an undrafted rookie at this very rookie minicamp a year ago. And he did it. They're apparently all going in unchallenged this year. So that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed this. Again, hit like and subscribe so you know when we're going to be doing things like this. And I swear to God, Chris and I are going to have a live show one of these days soon. But until then, this is Jeff Risdon. Thanks for watching.